Have you ever stood in your bathroom at 3 in the morning, heart pounding, wondering why you're awake again for the third time tonight? You shuffle to the bathroom half asleep and you don't think twice about it. Maybe you blame the glass of water you had before bed, or the coffee from earlier in the day. But what if I told you that your bathroom habits, the ones you've been brushing off for months, maybe even years, could actually be your body's way of screaming for help? What if your blood sugar has been quietly climbing higher and higher, and your body has been trying to warn you this whole time, but nobody ever taught you how to listen? Most people don't realize that some of the very first signs of blood sugar trouble don't show up on a scale, and they don't show up in how tired you feel during the day. They show up in the bathroom, quietly, repeatedly, and often they get ignored for years because they seem so small, so normal, so easy to explain away. Doctors rarely sit down and walk you through these signs in detail because appointments are short and there's so much to cover. But today, we're going to slow down and talk about 5 bathroom signs that could mean your blood sugar is out of control, and what they might be telling you about what's happening inside your body right now. Before we go any further, if you're someone who cares about your health, or you're watching this for a parent, a spouse, or someone you love, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tap the like button too. Here on Dr.Selric, we talk about these kinds of things in a way that's simple, caring, and easy to understand. Because you deserve real answers, not confusing medical jargon. Now let's get into it, because the first sign on this list is one that almost everyone has experienced, but very few people connect to their blood sugar. The first sign is needing to urinate far more often than usual, especially at night. Now, we all get up once in a while, that's normal. But if you find yourself waking up 2, 3, even 4 times a night every single night, that's not just getting older. That's your kidneys working overtime. Here's what's happening. When there's too much sugar in your blood, your kidneys try to filter it out and flush it from your body through urine. But sugar pulls water along with it. So the more sugar your kidneys are trying to get rid of, the more water gets pulled out too, which means more trips to the bathroom, day and night. Many people chalk this up to drinking too much water before bed, or just having a small bladder. And sometimes that is the case. But if this has been happening consistently, for weeks or months, and it's becoming part of your nightly routine, your body might be trying to tell you something much bigger. Think about Linda, a 62-year-old grandmother from Ohio. For almost a year, she joked with her family about her tiny bladder. She started avoiding long car rides. She stopped going to movies because she didn't want to miss anything getting up and down. It wasn't until a routine checkup that her doctor asked a few simple questions and ran a blood sugar test. Her numbers were alarmingly high. What Linda thought was just an annoying part of getting older turned out to be one of the earliest warning signs her body had been giving her for months. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because the second sign is closely connected to the first, but it feels completely different. It's an intense, almost unquenchable thirst. You drink a full glass of water and 10 minutes later your mouth feels like cotton again. You might find yourself constantly reaching for water bottles, energy drinks, sodas, anything to make that dry feeling go away. This happens because your body is losing so much fluid through frequent urination that it's trying desperately to replace what it's losing. It's like a leaky faucet, and your body keeps trying to refill the tank, but the tank keeps draining. Here's the tricky part. A lot of people respond to this thirst by reaching for sugary drinks, sweet tea, soda, juice, because that's what feels satisfying in the moment. But that actually makes the problem worse, because now you're adding even more sugar into a bloodstream that's already struggling to handle what's there. It becomes this exhausting cycle. More sugar leads to more thirst. More thirst leads to drinking more sugary stuff, and that leads to even higher blood sugar. Around and around it goes, and most people have no idea this cycle is even happening inside their own body. Now, before we move on to the third sign, I want you to think about something. Have you ever noticed unusual smells in the bathroom that you couldn't quite explain? This is something almost nobody talks about, but it's incredibly important, and it's our third warning sign. When blood sugar is very high for a long period of time, your body sometimes starts breaking down fat for energy instead of using sugar properly, because the sugar isn't being absorbed into your cells the way it should be. This process can create something called ketones, and ketones can give your breath and sometimes your urine a sweet or fruity smell. Some people describe it as smelling like nail polish remover or overly ripe fruit. It sounds strange, almost unbelievable, but it's a real and documented sign that something serious might be going on with your blood sugar levels. This is the kind of thing people notice for a moment, maybe mention to a spouse, and then completely forget about because life gets busy. But your body doesn't forget. It keeps sending these little signals, hoping someone will pay attention. Now let's talk about the fourth sign. And this one might surprise you because it has nothing to do with how often you go to the bathroom, but everything to do with how things look when you do. Foamy or bubbly urine, especially if it happens consistently and doesn't go away quickly, can sometimes be a sign of protein leaking into your urine. This is something your kidneys are not supposed to let happen. When blood sugar stays high for too long, it can slowly start to damage the tiny blood vessels inside your kidneys, the ones responsible for filtering your blood properly. When those vessels get damaged, protein that should stay in your bloodstream starts leaking out into your urine, and that can cause a foamy or bubbly appearance. Here's the part that really gets me. This kind of kidney damage often happens silently, with no pain, no obvious symptoms, for years. By the time people notice something is wrong, sometimes a lot of damage has already occurred. That's why these small, easy-to-miss signs matter so much. They're like little flashing lights on a dashboard, except most of us were never taught what those lights mean. And now, the fifth sign. And honestly, this one might be the most overlooked of them all. It's slow healing or recurring infections in areas that are hard to see, especially anything related to urinary tract infections or yeast infections that seem to keep coming back no matter what you try. High blood sugar creates an environment in your body that certain bacteria and yeast actually love. Sugar feeds them. So when your blood sugar stays elevated, these organisms can multiply more easily, leading to infections that show up again and again, sometimes every few months, sometimes even more often. People often treat the infection, feel better for a little while, and then it comes back, and they treat it again, never realizing that the real root cause, high blood sugar, was never addressed in the first place. Now, I know this might feel like a lot to take in. Maybe you're sitting there thinking about your own bathroom habits over the last few months. Or maybe you're thinking about someone you love, a parent, a spouse, a friend, and wondering if they've mentioned any of these things to you before. That feeling in your chest right now, that little flicker of worry, that's actually a good thing. That's your awareness kicking in, and awareness is the first step toward taking care of yourself. Here's something important to understand. None of these signs by themselves mean you definitely have a serious problem. Our bodies are complicated, and there can be many reasons for any one of these symptoms. But when several of these signs start showing up together, especially over a period of weeks or months, that's when it becomes really important to talk to your doctor and ask for a simple blood sugar test. It's one of the easiest tests there is, just a small blood draw, and it can give you so much information about what's really going on inside your body. Now let's clear up a common myth, because I hear this one all the time. A lot of people believe that if they don't eat a lot of sweets or desserts, their blood sugar must be fine. But blood sugar isn't just about candy and cake. It's about how your body processes all carbohydrates, including bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, and even some fruits. Someone could go their whole life avoiding chocolate and still have blood sugar that's quietly climbing, simply because of portion sizes, lack of movement, stress levels, or even poor sleep. Blood sugar is influenced by so many things, not just dessert. Another myth worth busting is the idea that you'll definitely feel sick if your blood sugar is high. The truth is, many people feel completely normal, even when their numbers are concerning. That's exactly why these bathroom signs matter so much. They're often there long before someone feels unwell in any obvious way. So what can you actually do about this? Let's talk about some simple, doable habits that can make a real difference starting today. First, pay attention to your water intake, but make it plain water as much as possible, instead of sugary drinks. Second, try adding a short walk after meals, even just 10 minutes. This simple habit has been shown to help your body use sugar more efficiently right after eating, which can make a noticeable difference over time. Third, if you've noticed any of these bathroom signs happening regularly, write them down. Keep a simple note on your phone or a small notebook. When you go to the doctor, having specific examples like, "I'm waking up 3 times a night to urinate," or "I've had 2 infections in the past 4 months," gives your doctor so much more to work with than a vague, "I feel a little off lately." And finally, don't be afraid to ask questions. If your doctor mentions your blood sugar numbers, ask what they mean. Ask what a healthy range looks like for someone your age. Ask what small changes might help. You are allowed to be curious about your own health. In fact, you should be. I want you to think about something for a moment. So many of us were raised to push through discomfort, to not make a big deal out of small things, to wait until something is really wrong before we say anything. But your body has been speaking to you this whole time, in small ways, in quiet ways, through things as simple as a trip to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And it deserves to be heard. If this video opened your eyes to something you've been experiencing, or if it made you think of someone you love, I want to hear about it. Go ahead and leave a comment below and share your thoughts or your own experience. Maybe you've noticed one of these signs yourself, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing about any of this. Either way, your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. Someone who has been feeling alone with these symptoms, wondering if they're the only one. And if you found this helpful, please consider sharing this video with a friend or family member, especially someone who might be going through this without even realizing it. Sometimes the most caring thing we can do for someone we love is simply send them information that could change how they take care of themselves. Taking care of your health doesn't have to feel overwhelming, and it doesn't have to start with something big or scary. It can start with simply paying attention, with listening to the small signals your body has been sending you, and with being brave enough to ask questions and seek answers. You deserve to feel your best at every age, and it all begins with one small step, one moment of awareness, like the one you just had today. Take care of yourself, and take care of those you love, because sometimes the smallest signs carry the biggest messages.